Today, we're going to dive into how we're going to store our source code and how you're going to get source code from us when you start working on your projects. So let's dive into Git.
Ooh, sounds good.
So Git is a technology that is the most widely used technology for what we call software version control.
Ooh, what does that mean? Version control.
So software version control is the idea that when we write code, we're going to have lots of different versions of our code. So if you think about writing a novel or writing anything, you're going to have different points of time that you're going to save your file. But unlike writing a novel, when you write code, you may want to go back if you sort of broke something and go back to a previous version of an older version of your code. You may also, the first purpose is it really does let you track old and new versions of code.
That's super helpful for someone like me who breaks something often to go back and have a version that I know works.
And in addition to allowing you to track old and new versions of your own code, this allows you to collaborate with others on the same file. So this is something like a Google Sheets experience where you can work with multiple people on the same document, but now we can do this with source code. So Git is an industry standard tool that's used by nearly every single software development company. And I feel like it's really important for you to actually get your hands dirty with Git. So I want to just give you a 2-minute overview of exactly what you're seeing with Git. So what Git does is it maintains a repository that contains your source code that we generally refer to with a cylinder. And this repository is going to live on the internet, and the base repository is going to be called your main repository.
And I've sometimes heard people say repo. Does that stand for repository?
Yes. So repo, repository, we're often going to just say repo because, again, as computer scientists, we're lazy. So the main repo is going to live on the internet, and this is going to be where all of your source code is stored. And then you're going to interact with this main repo by running a command called clone to clone down this repo to your computer. And then you're going to have a cloned copy of this repo on your own computer. So this command, git clone, will be the first command that you're going to run on your computer when you start working on Git. Once you finish cloning the repo, there's only going to be two sets of commands that we're going to work with. So the first set of commands is sometimes you're going to want to get the latest version of the files from the repository on the internet. To do that, you're going to run either a git pull or in some cases a git fetch command to grab the latest code from the internet and pull it down to your computer.
That makes sense.
The other thing we're going to work on is we're going to work on commands that allow you to push the code from your computer to the internet. So you can store it on the internet. And to do that, there's a series of 3 commands that you'll be using. This will be to git add, to tell Git to add certain files, a git commit to confirm that you want to send those files to the internet, and finally a git push to actually send those files to the internet.
So once you're done working on your computer, especially if you're collaborating with someone, you want to push that back so that they can have the most updated version.
Exactly. So every time you start working, you generally do a git pull, and every time you finish working, you do a git push, which is going to be a series of a git add, git commit, and git push. But don't worry about the specifics because we're always going to tell you the exact commands to run so you can always be sure that you're saving your files, backing it up online, and using Git. As you get more and more familiar with using these commands, you'll understand how Git works in a deeper level. And there's a lot of really cool things you can use with Git.
I have one last question, Wade. So you keep saying Git, and I've heard of GitHub. Are those the same thing?
Yes. So Git is a technology where the Git technology defines what pulling is, what fetching is, what cloning is, what adding is, what committing is, and what pushing is. That's a technology that can work on any platform. GitHub is a particular website, and we'll be using GitHub to host all of the source code, but github.com is an implementation of the Git technology on the internet. So when you're using GitHub, you're actually using the Git technology at one particular website, but there's others. There's Bitbucket, there's other different websites out there that also use the Git technology, but GitHub's the most widely used one, so that's what we're going to use here in Discovery.
That totally makes sense. So I'm glad we could get started with Git, and thanks for committing to this video. And I hope using Git pushes you out of your comfort zone.
Wow.